Hello, my fellow humans. Today, we dive into the world of fitness entrepreneurship with a true martial arts master turned business mogul. Join me in welcoming Devan Gonzalez, founder of Strive Fitness and host of his own Mindset podcast. Devan's journey from martial arts instructor to successful franchise owner is nothing short of inspiring. He'll share insights on leadership, perseverance, and building a thriving business in a competitive industry. Get ready for some powerful lessons on turning fighting skills into business success. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. Today we have Devan Gonzalez with us here to talk to us about being the founder of Strive Fitness, and he also has his own Mindset podcast. Welcome, Devan.
Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fun.
Hell yeah. Love you to tell the audience your journey from building your business to a martial arts instructor.
Definitely. My journey started as a martial arts instructor, right? At the age of 13, I became a black belt. And, it was one of those things where I got back into martial arts originally because my younger brother, was getting into it. And, my parents convinced me I needed to be a good role model and, show him that, you don't need to be scared and so forth. But I didn't really like martial arts or anything when I was younger. And it wasn't the fact of like doing the forms, the moves, it was the sparring. Like my martial arts was an MMA based martial arts studio, right? So punches to the head, takedowns, slams, all, the whole nine. And so at the age of like 10, I was too old to be with the younger kids and too small to be with the older kids, but I always got put with the older kids. So I just used to get, basically whooped every single time we sparred. And so finally, my dad hired one of the coaches, to do that private lessons with me and have to work on my boxing and everything like that. And he said something to me, and it was weird that it clicked to me as a kid because he was like, look, you know how to fight. Like you're good. He's like, you're just not fighting because you're intimidated. And so you have to realize that if you don't fight, you're going to get beat up. Right. But what's going to happen if you do fight, right? You might still get beat up, but you're getting beat up either way. So it's like, might as well get some punches in and get some licks in when you can. And so that all of a sudden clicked for me. And I remember it was going into like, I think it was like my belt before black. I was like, you know what? Like, let's just see what I got. And just went out there swinging for the fences and found out I could handle myself. But then that led into me getting my black belt and, becoming a martial arts instructor, getting paid under the table. And that allowed me to kind of start finding my role. I loved helping people, get better on their journey of fitness, of health, of, self-confidence and mindset. And then I went to college and became a personal trainer because the martial arts studio schedule didn't line up with my schedule. And that's when I really started to find my purpose, right? Became a personal trainer for a corporate gym, then went to a private gym and then, took the leap and became a personal trainer for myself, running my own personal training company and grew that to making six figures. And I knew that there had to be a level, after that. And so that level essentially was creating my own gym, right? And so one of my clients, I helped him for a bodybuilding competition. He started becoming a personal trainer afterwards. And I was like, look, you're about to go down a path that I've been down. Why not just hop on board with me? Let's open up this gym. And gave him the idea, gave him the business model. And, we've built Strive 11 Fitness and have grown it now to, launch the franchise side of it. And now we're opening up in Tampa, Florida as well. We'll be opening up in, Dallas and Washington, Vancouver, Washington as well soon. So, now we're starting to expand and open up franchise locations.
You do have a similar journey there because I got into Krav Maga myself. And I'm working on my black belt still, but going through Krav Maga, I've learned to build systems and put things in place to help me build myself, to help build other people, and have that spilled over into business and helping people and train them as leaders. So it's a very fulfilling journey and it's very fun. Enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love martial arts. Now it was as a kid, you want to go play with your friends and you want to go do these things and your parents are kind of forcing you to go to martial arts class. And it's like, I want to play basketball. I want to do, this. And so that was the reason I didn't like it. But then, it's everything that comes with martial arts, the self-discipline, the self-confidence, the, all those aspects of it. And then, the one area I didn't like, which was the fighting aspect, I actually grew to love. And that was probably one of my favorite, aspects of it. before I took a stop and went to college.
I have a problem with that part sometimes too, but it really instills something in you that gives you this fierce fighting edge for your life where you're not afraid, you know what you can do, but it helps you overcome so many obstacles in your life because of it. You have this power inside you, but you know what? I don't have to use it, but I can use it for better without the fighting.
Yep.
Very powerful. Throughout your journey through martial arts and building your business, what are some things that you've come to learn about kind of your life and leadership and then helping instill those things into other people?
I would say, leadership, people want to claim, that they're a leader or they want leadership roles. And I feel that the best leaders are essentially not given the role, but the role kind of finds them. Right. And what I mean by that is that you can call yourself a leader, just like you can call yourself a business owner or you can call yourself a dad, but you can't self-claim titles, right? In my opinion, titles are earned, and they're earned not from your recognition, but from the recognition of others. And so like being a dad, right, or being a father, you could have a kid. That doesn't make you a dad or a father, right?
100.
And so your kid, from your contributions to their enjoyment, that, spending time with them, they call you dad, right? Your employees in everything, like you could be a business owner and not be their leader. I actually had a conversation, we help, business owners, that are just starting off, help elevate their business. And one of the things we were talking about with one of these business owners was that he was essentially giving one of his people the leadership role without telling the person, and no one else on the team knew it. And he just was like, okay, yeah, he's essentially kind of the leader. And I was like, you're the leader. I was like, but would any of your employees call you their leader? And he was like, well, and then he thought about it, and I was like, because from what I'm understanding is like, you kind of just like, here's the work, good luck. You have everything you need. That's not what someone that's leading does.
No.
Right. A leader is someone that is essentially, my job now as a business owner and as a leader essentially is making sure that my team has everything that they need and constantly checking in. My job essentially is just to serve my team. Right. And I have a business partner, and I always looked at us as, we are equal in terms of equity and all that kind of stuff. But then he is the one that told me, he was like, listen, this was your idea. You're the one that creates all the solutions. I don't think like that. Like, I don't. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, this is both of ours. He's like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, on paper and yes, everything, it's both ours. I get it. He said, but I need you to be the one that leads, and you just tell me what to do and give me some guidance, and I will execute. And I was like, okay. I was like, I didn't want to, do that because I wanted to make sure it never felt like I was trying to put myself above him or vice versa. And it's still not like that. But he was like, look, we both have roles, and your role is to lead the team. Yeah. And my role is to make sure the team follows that lead. And I was like, okay. I was like, I guess that makes sense. I was like, if that's what you want. And then we started to learn how to essentially work off of each other in that manner, right? And so now we are basically two pieces to the whole, instead of both of us trying to be the whole, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of times, like, when you want to become a leader, it's like, you just have to ask, like not like, can I be a leader? It's, hey guys, what do you need? Right? Hey, how can I make your job better? Right? What do we need to improve on? Right? And even if you're a leader without the title of leader, right? Let's say you're just an employee and you're the same level as, some of your other peers, right? Completing your tasks and then asking your peers if they need help. You start to become a leader without a title, and inevitably management does see that. They always see it. And when a problem gets, pushed to your team, they're going to be like, well, Jack will handle it, or John will do it. We're going to see what he wants to do with it. Like, and so inevitably you start to become a leader because of the effort you put into giving back.
I like how you put that. And I've actually experienced that myself as well. People looking up to me as a leader, I don't understand why. I didn't understand it for the longest time. But I understood because I was really trying to serve them, serve their needs, help them with their jobs, things that they were doing. And so I didn't know that was what servant leadership was. I didn't get that. And it came natural. And there was just a weird concept at first. But it's very true, not everyone can or should be a leader. There's so many CEOs that are not. They just overmanage or undermanage, I should say. They manage people, but you're supposed to lead people and you manage systems and create those systems to lead them with.
I want to even say, like, because it's such a funny topic, and I agree with everything that you're saying. When we become a business owner, you have to wear a lot of hats, right? And until you can establish a team, you have to wear the visionary hat, you have to wear the integrator hat, you have to wear the manager hat, and even the employee hat until you can
Start
hire an
looking
employee.
goofy.
Right? Exactly. But then you start to hire and replace the areas that you're not good at, right? And so then you get to a point where you're the CEO, right? And the founder, but yet you may not be the best CEO for the position, but you're always going to be the founder, right? So you have to know where your strengths are, and so forth. But the analogy I like to give is that not every pro athlete is going to make a great coach. Just because you can play the game doesn't mean you can coach the game, right? Because you need to understand it on a different level, and you need to be able to understand people. Not everyone thinks the way you think. So take baseball, for example. Just because I'm out in LA, just because you're Kershaw pitching for the Dodgers doesn't mean Kershaw is going to be a great coach, right? If he's not a people person and understand and put himself in other people's shoes and understand, how other positions work, that doesn't make him a good coach, right? So it's like, you have to realize that just because you're a good solopreneur doesn't mean you're going to be a good CEO.
I feel like that is a very common thread out there in the world of business building. So many people can do the systems, they can do all the stuff inside of it, but when it comes to actually communicating with other human beings to lead them, they're like, oh yeah, I can do that too. But they don't really realize that they shouldn't or they can't, or they don't have that skill set that they need to build upon. And that you said they can't do it. That's fine. Knowing that you can find someone to do it, that's a strength within itself.
Yep.
Knowing that you're not that person.
Yeah, and just having the humility to understand that you don't know everything, and that's okay. Like, that's why there's mentors. That's why there's coaches. That's why, you can hire for someone. Like, every person that I hire on the team, I want them to be better than me at that position, right? Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not trying to hire for under me and so that I can say I'm the best at everything, because then I'm bottlenecking the business. I'm trying to replace myself with people better than me.
Yes, I've heard this thing about leaders want to hire other leaders.
100%.
You want to hire people not just to replace you, but people are going to actually help push the business forward. You don't want to hire a seat warmer. You want to just sit there and doing mundane tasks, but someone's actually help you go forward in your business and grow with the company. And hiring leaders is the way to do that. I like how you put that. What's been your experience with that over the years of hiring, scaling your business from start? Like, finding the right people to implement into it, knowing there's the right people. I'm sure there's been people you've hired that haven't been right.
Yeah, that's an issue that you're always going to have when you're hiring people. Some people are great interviewees, and then they get the role, and all of a sudden you're like, where was everything that you said you could do? It's like, so for us, like, we actually have a 60-day onboarding phase, right? And essentially that 60-day window is essentially your probationary period too. If you can't match up to the base requirements, then I'm sorry, this team just isn't the team for you. As well as we have, monthly, every shift, essentially the manager and the trainer have, mini meetings, but then we have team meetings every month. And that's also a performance review as well. And at the end of the day, our goal here in Strive 11, like, we're telling people to go above and beyond in their health, their fitness, their life. So why wouldn't you walk the walk that you're talking, right? At the end of the day, if you're not doing the things you're preaching, then, again, this isn't the team for you, right? Because at the end of the day, one employee can bring down the culture and the morale and everything. So letting them go, as much as it's a burden, because now there's extra work to be done, sometimes that will actually boost morale and boost the team and allow them to flourish. Because if everyone else feels like they're giving 110% and someone else is giving 80% or 70%, they're going to be like, why am I giving 110% when I can get the same paycheck and do 70?
Right. That's how you lose your high performers too. They see you're tolerating this, but they're so far up here, like, well, then why should I then? What's the point?
Exactly.
And this way, it's going to be very detrimental to business. Have you seen any kind of trends when you hire people? Like any kind of like trends or personality traits that have kind of set off an alarm down the road? You understand they're not going to work out or that they are going to work out?
The weird trend that we just recently noticed is some of the best trainers, right? Because even if they're not certified, we help them get certified. But some of the best trainers come from the food industry,
Ooh,
right?
service.
And so they're already used to servicing people and waiting tables and being a bartender. Like that is a very customer service heavy business and industry. And when that translates over into fitness and being a group coach and all that kind of stuff, it directly correlates to it. So what we've seen is that some of the best trainers actually come from like the food industry and so forth. So if someone comes from the food industry and they fulfill the requirements, then we'll help them get certified, no problem.
That actually makes a lot of sense because that can be a highly stressful job and working with people all the time. You have to have those, I like using this word, but soft skills to really connect with people because anyone can be trained on most things, but having those skills to connect with people and understand human beings and just understand where they're coming from and on their level can be very hard for a lot of people. I mean, I see that in my industry all the time. People are so highly technical, but they can't understand how to communicate to people on their level.
Right. I mean, one way we do interviews is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And so our interview process is actually a 2-step process because the communication aspect is so big, right? And you could have a stacked resume with all these different certifications and licenses and whatever. That doesn't mean much to me, right? Because I've known uncertified people that know more than certified people. So if the certification's an issue, like we'll help with that part, no biggie. But if you can't communicate, right? So that's why we do a phone call first. If you can't communicate on the phone in your own safe space, ain't no way you're going to start communicating when you're face to face with a room full of people, right? The second part of it is they actually come in for one of our workouts and we don't let anyone know that they're here for an interview except for, the staff knows, but so that they can see the trainers train and how the culture is and so forth, so that they can see if this is even going to be a good fit for them, if they can align with the vision, the model. But then we're also looking at just their movement patterns. Like, do they understand the basics, right? I know we have some more complex movement patterns and some stuff we've created, but do you know how to do a squat? Do you know how to do a push-up? Or is your form all, because I mean, we've had people that came in looking like D1 athletes and we're like, oh, wow, this is going to be the person. And then all of a sudden they do a squat and I was like, what the hell is that? Like, how did you get those muscles like squatting like that? Like, you don't even have weight. This is just a body weighted squat. Like, what the heck? And so that's the second part, is like actually seeing, them just do a workout. I don't care how well you do. The workout's hard because it's, hard for each person at their own level. But do you know how to move your body in a manner that correlates to your knowledge on your resume?
I like how you put that. I have actually had that experience with different personal trainers where they just kind of, oh yeah, go ahead and do this. I'm like, well, am I doing it right? Oh yeah, you're fine. But then at the end, I end up hurting myself. I'm like, I don't think I was doing that right. What the heck?
Yep. Exactly.
You have to be very careful with that. That could be a liability. How have you grown from where you are now, and where do you see yourself going with your business?
I mean, me personally, like I've grown from solopreneur to business owner to now CEO. And just because you're a business owner, in my mind, is like, it doesn't make you a CEO. The roles and the responsibilities kind of dictate some of those titles, but then also the teams under you kind of dictate those titles. But in terms of like the company's growth and stuff, my goal essentially is to continue growing what we're growing. Like we just launched, Strive 11 became a national franchise last year. And now we're opening up in Tampa, Florida with a franchisee. We're opening up in Dallas. We're opening up in Washington, Vancouver. And then we have a few other ones that are in the pipeline as well. And so my goal essentially is to, in the next, 5 years, to hit 100 locations.
I might move over Alex Hermosi. You make him a run for his money. When you were talking about earlier about people growing into their roles, do you have any kind of specific training? Do you help people to become better at their roles at their company for leadership?
Yeah. So, I mean, the leadership stuff, like we actually have some training and stuff that we do with it, but I believe on a merit-based system, right? So the best person for the job gets the job. And just because you've been here for, 10 years doesn't mean that you get the next promotion. It's the best person for the job gets it. And if someone is trying to become a higher position and they need additional resources that we invest in our team, whether it's through our time or through, getting them knowledge and outside training to help, better fit that role. Because again, making them better is only going to make the team better and so forth. So we definitely believe in, reinvesting into our team because that pays lifetime of the business dividends.
100%. You have the wrong person in that role, you're going to pretty much bring the whole company down over time.
Exactly.
Gotta be careful with that. Because like we said earlier, not everyone's meant to be in those positions, but they can be built up into them. And some of them can be trained.
Yeah, and some people don't even want the thing is to also know as a business owner, not everyone wants to get a promotion.
I've learned that too.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, but you also have to know, like, I mean, I have a talk with like our team when they come on board at some point is like even our team and our recruitment team, like when they're hiring them, it's like, what is your goal? Like, what is your 5-year goal? What is your ultimate dream job? Right. And the reason why we ask it is so that as we're building the company and as we're growing the company, when that role is an actual role, now we know someone that could align with it. Right. Maybe they are the best for the job. Maybe they're not, but at least we have a direction to kind of go in fulfilling that new position.
Yeah, I like how you said that. And I never really thought about that not everyone necessarily wants to climb that corporate ladder. Some people they love what they do, but they're okay where they are with it. Because I feel there's a lot of push in a lot of industry. Like, you got to come in here, you got to climb the ladder, you got to become a manager. There's all this push for that. And like you said, not everyone wants to do that. So I kind of like how you put that. And you have to figure out as a leader, who is that person that does and doesn't want to do that. And that's okay, as long as they still line up with your company values and help pushing your mission forward.
Right. Some people can be a team leader without the official title because they crack under that kind of pressure. So it's like giving someone else that team leader title and giving them the responsibilities and roles and tasks of that title, allowing them to flourish in it and allowing that person to lead without having the requirements of, doing all the other managerial tasks, could actually be a huge detriment, and if you try to force someone into a position.
Yeah, you said they'll crack. It might snap. Who knows? Mm-hmm. It's been a pleasure having you on here today. Is there anything that you'd like to leave our audience with about your business or anything to let them know about leadership?
I would say I'll give this one's like two different mindsets / perspective, changes. If you want a goal or if you want to achieve a goal, if you have a dream and someone else has already done it, that's your living proof. That is your testimonial to that it is a reality, right? That it is a reality that you can achieve, right? Because you're not that special. And when I say that, you're not that special for it to be a reality for someone else and be a possibility to become your own reality. So in that perspective change, I just want to add the second part, which is you have to have the mentality. It's not a matter of if it will happen. It's a matter of when it will happen, right? So if you don't stop trying, it will happen. It's just a matter of it might happen today, tomorrow, a year, 5 years. Again, if you want it that bad, then it will happen.
Thank you. Actually, love how that was really well put. Because a lot of people nowadays, they see a lot of things on YouTube or people making money, but they've been doing stuff for like 5 years, 10 years. It doesn't happen overnight. And people stop when it's just about to happen. They just can't stop. They're like, you know what? I'm fed up with this. I'm not doing it anymore. But you're almost there. You're almost there. You can't give up in this kind of space. Try to actually help people, teach them that, because I find myself there sometimes. But I know there's a bigger purpose. There's a bigger picture that I may not be seeing all of it right now. I mean, like that thing, when you have that purpose and that drive towards that purpose, that pretty much just gets you there.
Exactly.
And then you're having the discipline also, because sometimes they're not motivated, but discipline over motivation, I believe. I don't know.
I mean, to what you're saying, that is something I truly believe in as well. Motivation is something that's fleeting, right? Motivation comes, it goes. You watch a David Goggins video, you feel inspired, you feel motivated, and then all of a sudden an hour passes and you're like, eh. And so discipline is knowing that whether you feel like it or not, you do the things that you know you need to do because it's going to get the result that you want to achieve. And so in being disciplined, you start to not need extrinsic or external motivation, and then you start to see the results starting to flourish, and you start to build an internal motivation. You want more of the result.
Yes, that is very well said. I feel that, especially like with working out, for example. Like when I started working out, I was like, I didn't have the habit there. I had to build the habit. I was like, I want to do this. I'll do it another day. We just keep going, keep going. Like 2.5 years later, it's like 5, 6 days a week. I just go, I'm like, oh, how did I get at the gym? It's just so habitual then. You build that discipline. And discipline's a very hard concept for some people. You have to self-lead yourself to get there.
Yeah, it's a skill.
Yeah, it's a huge skill. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on here today. I appreciate your time and knowledge. And it'd be lovely to have you back on here again.
Honestly, if you have your dream, go for it.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Well, thank you, Devin. If the people want to reach out to you to help build their skill set in leadership or getting a personal trainer, where can they reach out to you? Where can they find you?
Probably the best place is Instagram, and it's just Devan, Devan Gonzalez.
I'll put it down in the show notes below so people can find you as well.
Well,
thank you again, Devin. I appreciate you coming on here today.
It was my pleasure.
All right, bye.